Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason, and we are back with another one of our top 10 films of the year. So we are moving right along. We started with 1995, and we are up to 2009. So we're moving right along. It's going good. It's been going good. It's been a lot of surprises for our top 10s. That's for sure. So yeah, this will be our top 10 films of 2009, the first part. So once again, on our first part, we do our number 10 through number 6, and then we'll do a second show where we do our number 5 through number 1 with our honorable mentions. As always on the first show, however, we also do a challenge film, which we gave to each other. So this is a film for 2009 that Jason challenged me to see that he's seen that I haven't seen, and then vice versa, a film that I've seen from 2009 that I've seen that he hasn't seen. It's always easier for him because he sees more movies than I do, so it always makes it a little bit easier. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Well, we do have a lot of films to cover, so I said we just get right into it. So let's get into it. We'll start with the challenge films. I'll go ahead and start off with you if you want to kick it away. So I challenge you to watch a film for 2009 that you hadn't seen, and that film was Public Enemies. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so this is a movie that, as soon as I was, filtering on Letterboxd the movies I hadn't seen from that year, I knew you were going to pick this for me because I remember you liked it. And I always wanted to see it. I just never did for whatever reason. Because it's a Michael Mann movie, and Michael Mann's one of my favorite filmmakers. This one, when it came out, it just didn't look like my kind of Michael Mann movie, I guess you could say. Not that I didn't want to see it, but I just kind of let it go by, and then I never circled back. So it is a Michael Mann movie. It stars Johnny Depp as John Dillinger, the famous gangster and bank robber. And long story short, I liked it. So I'm glad I finally got a chance to watch it. I will say it, to me, it's just not a Michael Mann movie unless there's like neon lights and skyscrapers, So, but I still liked it.
He doesn't do a whole lot of like I wouldn't say this is a period piece, but a whole lot of older. Piece, he doesn't do a whole lot of like older films. You know what I mean? For one, most of his films are more usually, like Manhunter and kind of Miami Vice and kind of moving forward in that capacity. He doesn't do a whole lot of like older films in that capacity. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. So it's not in the upper echelon for me. Not with Heat and Manhunter and Collateral, Thief, movies like that I really love. But it's a good, solid movie. It reminded me of kind of a lot of the Untouchables, that kind of thing, And I'm not a huge fan of the Untouchables. I wasn't a huge fan of this either, but I did like it. The Untouchables is, just okay. It's good. It's good. But yeah, it was a good movie. I thought Johnny Depp was good. I thought, Christian Bale was good. Nothing about it really blew me away, like some of Michael Mann's other movies. But it was a good, solid movie. And I didn't even mind that it was 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It was pretty well paced. I never got bored or anything like that. So yeah, thumbs up. This is probably the best one that you have given me so far.
Cool.
The second one being How High, strangely enough. Which was probably the one I had the lowest amount of hopes for. But right. Yeah. Cool. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Well, yeah, glad you definitely like it. I haven't seen it in many, many years. I don't even remember all of the elements of it. I probably need to rewatch it again. I don't own it or anything like that, but I do remember liking it. But I like mobster movies as well. Even for me, it's not in my upper echelon of necessarily Michael Mann, but it's not even in the upper echelon for like the mobster movies that I really love. Untouchables is not my favorite, but I would put that kind of in the same vein as this one, but I would put that a higher than this one, obviously. So, but yeah, definitely, definitely a good one though. So glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Make them keep it up. Keep it up. No more Transporter 3s, okay?
Hey man, it just depends on the year, man. Depends on what you've seen or haven't seen, I guess. So some years are easier than others. Yeah. And you presented me with a challenge film as well, which is Coraline, which I haven't really seen or hadn't seen, obviously. I don't see I don't see a lot of, I guess, animated films. I feel like I don't, anyways. I see enough, but I don't see all of them. I don't see every one that comes out, I guess, apparently. So, because this one I hadn't seen, but it's one that I've heard of over the years, of course, and I always heard that it was really, really good. So clearly, most people probably have seen Coraline, but clearly, Coraline is, kind of a animated horror film, I guess, if you will. So basically, Coraline's the main character. So she basically, the family moves from, I don't know, like Detroit or something like that, and they move to like a new city, and they move into this new house with this new this new house. It's kind of like it's like an apartment kind of house where there's like other people that live like upstairs and live downstairs. And I don't know what they call those houses, but I know like East Coast, down south, they have places like that where it's like kind of like a boarding house, kind of, I guess, if you will. And they live kind of like in the middle floor. And so she has like some weird, strange neighbors. And then there's also like this doorway in her house. And she's back up a little bit. So she's been kind of like us having some issues being in her new city and new town, and doesn't have a lot of friends yet. I don't think she hasn't started school yet. And her parents just pretty much haven't really been paying that much attention to her because they've been busy like with their new job in the new city working. So they've been on their computers all day. And so she's been feeling, I guess, somewhat neglected, I guess, if you will. And so she finds like this doorway in the house with a key. And basically when you open up the doorway, it leads to like this like portal, if you will, to like this alternate universe that she goes into where her parents are there, but they're like, really caring, really kind. They're all about her. They make her favorite meals. Things are like, it's like magical. There's like magical things that are happening there. And so she just really, really loves it. And everything's great. And then at some point she starts realizing that things may not be what they seem, over in her new place. And, and she kind of sort of gets herself kind of like stuck over there, basically. And it kind of goes from there. There's more to the story than that, but obviously if you haven't seen it, I don't want to go into too much or too in depth with spoilers or anything like that, but that's basically the gist of it. Is that her basically being caught between basically two households where one is her real family and the other is kind of like an alternate universe family, that at first are, very kind and, loving and caring, but at some point she starts seeing that they have some flaws as well in her alternate universe family, basically. And it kind of goes from there, basically, like I said. Overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't necessarily love it. It wasn't, my favorite animated feature or anything like that. It definitely doesn't compare to some of the bigger ones. In fact, one will be in the countdown here. Some of the bigger animated features that I enjoy, but I didn't dislike it or anything like that. I thought it was okay. It's a little, it's a darker animated feature, so it may not be for everybody. But overall, I thought it was decent. I didn't necessarily, like I said, I didn't go crazy over it, but I thought it was a decent animated feature. It won't be one of the staples like WALL-E or anything like that for me, but I thought it was decent. So
cool. Yeah, I love that movie. I went to it with, I didn't have, I don't think I had much expectations at all when I went to see it. I didn't think it looked bad or good, really. I just went to see it. And it really surprised me. I really liked it. It was I think the animation, the mixture of the CGI and the stop motion, I love that stop motion animation because it looks like something real. It's tactile, it is something real that's being moved. And I was surprised by how dark it got, for sure.
It is definitely dark for an animated feature. I will give you that. So
yeah, it really pushes the PG, I'd say, in some ways. And the fact that, ultimately, the villain in the movie is out to take, her eyeballs, and that's not something that you would find in a G-rated movie, that's for sure. And
yeah,
toward the end of the movie, when like the other place that initially looked so beautiful and everything, all her wishes were being granted, when that world starts to like crumble and decay, it gets like there's some really creepy imagery in there. So yeah, cool. I love that movie. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. Cool. Like I said, we're not doing the faces on these, but just I guess the overall grade you would give Public Enemies.
I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Solid B.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit lower on Coraline. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. So like I said, I enjoyed it. I didn't have any major faults with it. Just didn't do anything special for me, I guess, if you will. But I thought overall it was a good fun film, and definitely one that I know. I don't know that necessarily I'll watch it every year. I know that some of the kids in the house like it, so they may watch it. And they've seen it before. I think I'm the only one in the house that hasn't seen it. So, but cool. But yeah, definitely one that if your kids are maybe a little older and you haven't seen it, they may be interested in it for like a Halloween type thing, or it might actually play as a good Halloween film as well. So yeah.
Oh, for sure. I think yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, let's get into our real top 10 for 2009. I'll have you go ahead and kick it off with your number 10 film of 2009.
Sure. My number 10 film is The Road. So this is a movie. It's a post-apocalyptic movie starring Viggo Mortensen and Cody Smith-McPhee as his son. And basically it takes place after some sort of cataclysmic event. And I really like
2020 election.
yeah, it takes place tomorrow. No, it takes place after some kind of cataclysmic event, and I like the fact that they never specify what exactly happened. But something has happened, whether it's like a nuclear bomb or who knows, that has basically ended modern society. It's mostly just people, scavengers out there. So he is he's a father to this boy, and they're basically trying to make it to a safe place. And that's really the whole story. I mean, like the whole story is in the title. It's The Road. It's they're trying to get from here where they're at now to somewhere safe. And there's in between, there's good people and bad people. Bad people mostly being cannibals. But yeah, it's a really strong movie. I think it's a very dark, but it's not entirely bleak. I mean, it seems like when this movie came out, people wanted to say it was like the most bleak movie imaginable, but I don't think so. I think there are rays of sunshine in this movie. But it's a really good movie. It's a good thriller. It's a good drama. It's a good father-son movie. It's a good post-apocalyptic movie. It's just a really good movie, I think. So that's my number 10, The Road.
All right. Wasn't this higher for you before this, or was it always number 10?
I don't know for sure. I don't know.
I could have sworn you liked that film a lot more than number 10 in the past. So
I liked a lot of movies that year, so that's not like a bad thing.
Yeah. You like a lot of movies every year, though, I guess so. So
I don't think it was ever top 5, so it would have always been in this half of the top 10.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You showed me this one. To me, it was pretty bleak and dark. It just, I don't know. I didn't get a whole lot of joy out of it. And I think we talked about it in another show. There was another film that we were talking about that I thought was a little bleak and post-apocalyptic. I can't remember what it was though. And I was referencing this one being more bleak than that one was. So I don't know. It just wasn't any fun to me. So, when I'm watching something, it doesn't always have to be, happy-go-lucky or anything like that. And there is some action, I guess, if you will. But it did feel really bleak to me. So I kind of disagree with you on that. I think that the people that said it was bleak, I think that they were right on the money on that, in my opinion. It just it felt like a film that really didn't have a lot of hope per se. You could argue, not getting to spoilers, that maybe there was some hope, but it just felt bleak from the beginning to end. It's just basically a father and son in this world where, like you said, there's just cannibals. There's no real, Children of Men. That was the other one I was thinking of. That was but there's just no real hope for anything. It's basically just trying to stay alive. Basically, is the whole film. I mean, that's a pretty bleak outlook. So I don't know. I disagree that it's not very bleak. I think it is very bleak, and I don't know. It just wasn't fun for me. This is not a film that I would personally revisit. I didn't get enough out of it to really revisit it. But yeah, but cool.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not bleak. It's definitely a bleak movie, but I have definitely seen movies that that have less sunshine than this one. Trust me.
Oh well, yeah. There's always you can always go more bleak, of course, but this one's definitely in the very bleak category, in my opinion. So, but yeah, cool. Well, good choice, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Not for me, but for you, if that's what you like, that's what you like. My number 10 I actually don't own, so I'm going to bring it in, and it is a comedy, which is going to be I Love You, Man. So,
thanks, Kia. I love you too.
Right. So yeah, it stars Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. This one I haven't seen it in many years, but basically Paul Rudd is kind of getting married, and he doesn't have a lot of male friends, I guess. This is the right one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at me like I'm not saying something right. Okay, yeah. So he's getting married. He doesn't have a lot of male friends, and his fiance is like, well, you need like a best man or something of that nature. So he basically kind of goes out to find, essentially, kind of like a best man who he thinks might be Jason Segel, and they kind of hang out, and they're into the same like bands, and they're kind of into the same stuff, and they kind of like doing the same stuff. So it's kind of a comedy in that regard. There's obviously more layers to it than just that. But it was a film that I found very funny back when I saw it. I don't think I've seen it since it was in theaters, but definitely one that I remember being very funny and laughed quite a bit. And that's my number 10. I Love You, Man.
Yeah, what I was the look on my face maybe was I was looking at that poster, and they both look so young in that poster. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, I feel like Paul Rudd never ages. He's like one of those.
That's true. He only looks about 2 years older than that now.
Yeah. So, yeah. I always feel like he never ages, in my opinion. Like, because, I always forget he was in Clueless, back in like.
I know, man.
Clueless, I'm like, wait, he was in there like years ago. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you never know. But it's like also in Clueless was Stacey Dash, who was playing like a high schooler in that film, whereas year before she was in Strictly Business playing like a businesswoman.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So yeah, so it was just one of those things, So you never know. So
yeah, but yeah, no, I like that movie. I also haven't seen it in a long time, but I like it a lot, and it's got a cameo by one of my favorite bands, Rush. So it gets 4.5 stars just for that. So no, not really, but it's about slapping the bass. So yeah, it's a good movie. Not my top 10, but it's a good movie.
Cool. Number 9.
Number 9 for me is Adventureland. So this is I'm a sucker for coming of age movies. I love coming of age movies about like teenagers, early 20s, growing up. And on top of that, this one is set in the 80s. So that's kind of like my sweet spot, like coming of age movies set in the 80s, which means it's got this great, awesome 80s soundtrack. And in this case, not all the predictable 80s songs. It's got a really good soundtrack, really impressively curated soundtrack. The only way it could have been better is if it was a horror movie for me. So no, but it's a good movie. It stars Jesse Eisenberg. Funny enough, this movie came out the same year as Zombieland, which also starred Jesse Eisenberg. And it's got Kristen Stewart, Ryan Reynolds in a supporting role before Ryan Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds. Bill Hader's in this movie, Kristen Wiig. So it's just a really good movie about a guy with a summer job at an amusement park. Another thing I love, amusement parks. So this movie is just a lot of things that I like, but I also just think it's a really good, really well-written, funny, coming of age movie set in the 80s in an amusement park. There's no way I wasn't going to love this, but I think it's really good. So number 9 for me is Adventureland.
Cool. Yeah, I like Adventureland. It's a good film. It didn't make my top 10 or honorable mentions, but I definitely remember liking it quite a bit. Another one that I haven't seen since 2009, but I obviously had a better memory of I Love You, Man being funnier. But yeah, no, not a bad choice. Cool.
Oh, I know.
Not number 9 of the year,
which is
Up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Up is another really, really, really good animated feature that I really liked. Like I said, the one I was kind of alluding to with Coraline. Obviously, Up was probably the more well-known one, the bigger one of those two. But yeah, I just love Up. It's a really, really good animated feature. It's fun. It's funny. It's got a really great story. It's got a lot of scary parts in it as well. This is another one that kind of pushes the kind of boundaries. And not only scary parts, it's got a lot of some sad parts in it also. So, so definitely another one that really pushes the boundaries for recommending it for like young children. You know what I mean? Because it's got it deals with like death. It deals with some scary like vicious dogs and that sort of stuff. And very creepy, scary old man, and you know what I mean. So it's got a lot of story to it, but it's got a lot of heart as well. I definitely enjoyed it. So it's just one of my favorite animated features. And I'm not a really big animated feature person per se. It's not really my wheelhouse. But when they're really good, they're just really good. And this is one that's really, really good for me. So number 9 for me is Up.
Oh yeah, Up is great. It's actually going to figure into my top 5 in the next show. So I think like we talked about in the previous year or the year before that, I can't remember, but it's pretty much neck and neck with WALL-E for me as my favorite Pixar movie. So
WALL-E was number 10, and this one's for that year, and this one was number 9. But I do like Up just a little bit more. Maybe just because it's got a little bit more dialogue. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that's why. Not that the lack of dialogue bother me in WALL-E, but I don't know. I'll take dialogue over no dialogue, I guess. But both are really, really good animated films for sure, and definitely both are in my tops. So cool.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Cool. Number 8 for me is Drag Me to Hell. So this was Sam Raimi's celebrated return to the horror genre. Of course, Sam Raimi got famous making the Evil Dead films. And then from there on moved into, like Spider-Man movies. Basically, this was, and I have nothing against the first 2 Spider-Man movies. They're good. But as a horror fan, as an Evil Dead fan, it felt so good for him to get back into just like the all-out horror genre again. And I think this is just a really great, like kind of a morality tale. It's kind of one of those stories like, like you would find like a shorter version on Tales from the Crypt or something like that.
Right. Or the Mortuary collection, which we reviewed in a previous show. Yeah.
Right. It sets you up with a character who does something that they probably shouldn't have done, and then they pay the price for it.
Right.
Now, movies and stories, they always twist like how sympathetic the person is supposed to be or not. In this case, I actually find the protagonist pretty sympathetic. I kind of understand her reasons.
Which she wasn't a bad person. You know what I mean? She maybe did something she shouldn't have. I can't even say shouldn't have done. It probably actually technically was the right thing to do what she did, but it had consequences, unfortunately. So maybe it was the way that she did it. You know what I mean? So, but she did what probably in any job or whatever with those circumstances anybody reasonable would have done. You know what I mean? So probably, yeah.
So, and in this case, I don't want to get into the story, but it's just a really entertaining movie. It's funny. It's scary. People always hate on PG-13 rated horror movies, but there are some really, really good ones. Like this one. This one's
really scary in parts for a PG-13 film for sure.
Yeah, same with The Ring. I mean, The Ring is terrifying and it's PG-13.
Oh yeah, that's one that movie scares the heck out of me, man. I've watched it again a few times, obviously, and I own it, but The Ring is also one where I'm like, oh man, this is turn some lights on here.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be R-rated to be scary.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Definitely scary, and it retains, Sam Raimi getting back into that kind of slapstick horror, dark comedy too at the same time. So, I love this movie. Definitely a good one to watch anytime, but especially around Halloween.
Yeah. For sure. I love Drag Me to Hell as well. It just missed my top 10. It's going to be my honorable mentions. It probably would have been in my top 10 in previous years. I did rewatch it recently, and I don't know, maybe it was kind of weighted. I watched it with like the 5 people, or including myself, total of 5 people here in the house, and everybody else hated it. You know what I mean? And so, they all hated it. They all thought it wasn't funny. They thought it wasn't scary. They all thought it was just dumb. And so I don't know, that probably weighted it down for me, because when you're watching something that clearly everybody else around you hates, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, like I said, it just missed my top 10. So I still really like it, but I couldn't disagree with some of the faults they had with the film. There are some areas that, I couldn't necessarily disagree with, but definitely liked it. So, but good choice. Still own it. So I own it as well. So just missed my top 10 is all.
Yeah.
My number, we're on 8, right? Yeah. Yep. My number 8 is a horror film also. And this is a horror film that actually is G-rated. That is really, really scary. And it's going to be Last House on the Left.
Oh, yeah, right. G-rated. Yeah.
This one is definitely R-rated.
Yeah,
but, actually, this one says not rated. So this is like the director's cut. This is the unrated director's cut, actually. So Last House on the Left is, I believe it's a remake, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah. Was that?
The original is a Wes Craven movie.
Yeah. So it's a remake. Basically, the story of The Last House on the Left is basically about a family that's going to like their vacation home that's off of a lake someplace. And the daughter is like a teenager. She basically kind of gets mixed up with this like escaped like convict and their clan. Basically, she ends up like befriending this boy whose father just happens to be an escaped convict killer, basically. And, turn of events happen, and there's a lot of things that happen. And at some point, something happens to the girl. There's a, terrible storm, and basically the ex-cons, if you will. I don't want to go too much into the story, so it's kind of hard to explain without giving too much away, I guess. I'll just leave it at that. It's basically about a girl that kind of gets mixed up with like this like ex-con and psycho killer family, basically. Let's put it that way. So it's a very, very graphic and very violent film. I learned the hard way that this isn't a film for everybody, because I showed it to my fiance, and she hated it because of there's certain scenes in there that definitely aren't for everybody. And I didn't remember those scenes specifically. I remember some of the scenes, but there's definitely some scenes in there that are not for everybody for sure. So so it's hard one to like recommend for everybody, but I definitely enjoy it, and it's really, really good revenge film, I guess, if you will. So if you're into that, and you can stomach some gruesome things, and stomach some very touchy subjects that happen to the girls, particularly in the film, if you can get past that, then it's definitely a film that you might enjoy and love. So that is number 8, Last House on the Left.
Yeah, I really like Last House on the Left. It didn't make my top 10, but it's definitely in the runner-ups.
Cool.
And I know this is kind of like blasphemy for some horror fans, but I actually, because I mean the original Wes Craven movie is regarded as a classic, and it is a very good movie. But this is one of the cases where I actually prefer the remake. I think the remake's a better movie.
I don't know if I've seen the original, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, but it's not perfect. But I lost my train of thought. But it's a really good movie. It's a revenge movie. It's a home invasion movie. It's just a really tense thriller, and I really like movies that really like put the screws to you, I guess you could say. Like it makes you on the edge of your seat like the whole time, like gripping the armrest. So it's definitely that kind of movie. But it also it's got some entertainment value too. Like I know what you're talking about. Like it's there is a pretty graphic rape scene, and that's, people should know that going in,
right.
But if you can roll with that, it has some entertainment value as a tense thriller. I just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to number 7.
Yeah. Number 7 for me is another horror film, and that is The House of the Devil. So I love this movie. It is very. It's a movie that is made, and a lot of movies do this now. But this was kind of unique back in 2009, is to make a movie that consciously looks like an older movie. And I know Grindhouse got there a little bit first, but this movie is definitely made to resemble a movie from the 70s about this woman who goes to a house in the middle of nowhere answering a babysitting ad to do a babysitting job at this house in the middle of nowhere. And the people who live there are very, very strange, and they proceed to leave her alone in this house where a lot of creepy things start to happen when they leave. So it's my kind of movie. It's my kind of movie because it is just a gradual increase of tension throughout the movie. I love the style. I love the music in it. It is really creepy, and it is just a really good, low-key, suspenseful, old-fashioned, kind of not really a haunted house movie, but definitely a creepy house movie. And that's my cup of tea for sure. So my number 7 is The House of the Devil.
Yeah. I remember. I think you showed this one to me as well. I didn't remember caring for it as much as you did. I thought it was okay, but yeah, it seems like more, like you said, more your wheelhouse for types of films. Another film that I don't know if everybody's going to jive as much as you did, but yeah. So
only the people with good taste,
I guess you're the only one with good taste then. But yeah, not one that I love, but just they're more entertaining horror films for me. So that's all. Yeah. But cool. Yeah, it didn't make my top 10 or honorable mentions or anything, clearly. So, or not even close.
Shut up.
My number 7 is in my wheelhouse, which is action. And my number 7 is going to be Ninja Assassin, which is almost a horror movie, to be honest with you. I mean, it is just, the bloodletting in this film is just top to bottom crazy. So basically, it's about so this is the main character, really, but it's basically about kind of more about a girl that is trying to. She hears about this underground, basically ninja clan, basically that is actually like doing like hit jobs for people. Nobody's ever seen what they look like. Nobody's ever caught them on film or camera or anything like that because they're ninjas. And so she basically starts to do some research on it and tries to figure out exactly what these people are and tries to get in close. And as she's trying to find out about them, they find out about her, and now her life is basically kind of in danger. And the main character, I guess, is like kind of an ex-member of that clan and has been basically fighting these ninjas and basically been killing them, kind of thing. It is a very, very violent film. I mean, it is violent. We're talking like, heads getting cut off and just bloodletting and just all kinds of crazy stuff. But the fight scenes are just top notch. The action is top notch. It's a kind of film that, doesn't really let up a lot in the action. There's a little bit of story, but you're basically just waiting for the next, like, kick-ass, fight scene, basically. I love it. It's just a really, really good film. I enjoy it quite a bit. Like I said, if you're a big fan of action, like I'm a fan of action, then this is definitely one that I urge you to check out. It is, even the very first scene, you're going to be like, okay, I'm in. I'm interested in this. So yeah, that is my number 7, Ninja Assassin.
Cool. I the only thing I remember about that movie is that I liked it. That's it. I don't remember anything else. I've only seen it the once, and I think I saw it with you in 2009.
Probably.
And I don't know. It must have not lingered in my memory too long, but I definitely remember, like, a lot of really insane moments. I don't remember what any of those moments were, but I remember there were a lot of insane moments.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I saw it recently, probably in the last year or so. I think I actually showed it to my son. He's a teenager, so it's fun. But yeah, it's like I said, it's so violent, it's almost a horror movie, like how violent it is. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So being in something like that, then you're good to go. So cool. Number 6.
Number 6 for me is A Serious Man. So this is, if you've been paying attention, I'm a big fan of the Coen brothers. So Joel and Ethan Coen. This is one of their lesser known movies. It's definitely one of their less mainstream friendly movies. It's probably not for you. In other words, because you're already kind of mixed on the Coen brothers anyway, but definitely not when they are definitely as Coen brothers-y as they can get, which is this movie for sure. So it is set in the late 60s, and it centers around this guy. What's his name again? Michael Stuhlbarg. Yeah, you recognize him. He's been in a lot of things, but he's basically going through a midlife crisis. His wife is cheating on him with his best friend. His kids won't listen to anything he says. He's basically going through a midlife crisis, and he goes to 3 different rabbis to get their advice and see where that leads him. And it's pretty dark, but it's definitely funny. And it's got a lot of, like if you're a Coen Brothers fan, you've probably seen this. If you haven't, then I would definitely recommend it, because it's got their particular blend of comedy with drama with kind of a weird kind of vibe. So I'm a big fan of it. Even some of the hardcore Coen Brothers fans don't really like that one, but I think it's great. So that's my number 5 or 6, A Serious Man.
Cool. Yeah. Obviously, haven't seen it. Doesn't sound like one that I'm going to probably seek out anytime soon for sure. But yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, I just, like I said, they're kind of hit or miss for me. I either like their films or I don't. It's pretty much, with me. Like I said, they definitely have a very distinctive style. So when they're on, they're really, really good. But I've seen enough to know that I don't like everything that they do. So for sure. But cool.
Yeah.
My number 6 is going in a completely different direction of comedy again, and it is going to be very popular, The Hangover. So probably one of the biggest, highest grossing comedies of all time. It made like $1 gazillion at the box office. Everybody and their grandma has seen The Hangover. If you haven't, basic story is about 4 guys that head off to basically Vegas for a bachelor party in Vegas. Basically, they have a night of debauchery, and they all basically don't remember anything the next day or what happened that night. And the bachelor, the gentleman, the one that's getting married, is missing. They have no clue where he's at. And so basically the story just kind of follows a series of stories about all the events that took place that night. So they have to kind of retrace their stuff based on clues that they have from the night, like hotel receipts or things of that nature. And they find all kinds of stuff. There's a tiger in their bathroom. There's a baby there. Their car that they have valeted as a cop car, and you just already know the story's gonna be crazy from there. And so it's just a really, really funny film. Like I said, most people have seen it. It's got some great cameos in it. One in particular. Of a boxer. Most people probably already know that cameo at this point. But yeah, if you haven't seen The Hangover, definitely one I recommend. It's super, super funny and just a really, really good film. Just breezes by real easy. So number 6 for me is The Hangover.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of The Hangover. I remember I went to see it when everybody was flipping out about it, and I thought it was all right. It was all right. It was it didn't make me laugh all that much. I mean, I love the concept. The concept's great. It's kind of like a comedy version of Memento almost, just kind of walking the story backwards, and I really like that idea. I like the people in the cast, but that's just not one that ever stuck with me really. So I'm on the slightly.
You're the minority on that one for sure.
Yeah, well, it's overrated, I think, but I didn't hate it. It was all right. I never saw the second or third ones, so yeah. I don't know who those are.
I like the second one. I don't remember anything about the third one though. So
I don't remember anything about the first one. So
well, again, you're in the minority on that one for sure.
Okay.
Hey, different story for different folks. You like A Serious Man, and everybody else loves The Hangover. So cool.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I'm okay with that.
Okay. And I'm okay with that as well.
Okay.
Cool. Well, that is our bottom half of our top 10 for 2009. Obviously, if there are some films that you love from 2009 that we haven't mentioned, well, come back for the next show. We have our top 5, and then we also have our honorable mentions as well. And as always, we like to remind you that our honorable mentions are they're good. We like our honorable mentions, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, Jason always has like 30 of them, and I have 5, but we definitely like those as well. So
I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
We're not discounting it by saying that it's honorable mention, you know what I mean? Like it's not that good. We're saying, because I own most of the films that are in my honorable mention. In fact, like I don't own I Love You Man, and it was my number 10, but like Drag Me to Hell will be in my honorable mentions, and I own that. So just go figure. But cool. Well, we thank you guys for watching. Obviously, if you like the review, leave some comments on these films down in the comment section. Of course, like, subscribe, and then make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we'll be back again soon with the second half of our show and some more shows for you in the future as well. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Bye.
Bye.